What's going on, guys? Zuko back with another Dragonflight video. We're continuing with the Demon Hunter talent trees. Thank you so much for being here. Grab your coffee, take a seat, relax. Listen, Havoc is what we're doing. They don't have Vengeance right now, which is kind of what I've primarily played as Demon Hunter. I have messed around with Havoc. I am certainly not a Havoc main by any means, but I kind of know how it plays, and I've got a bit of an idea of what we're looking at here, and we're going to talk about the Havoc talent tree and what's going on there. I know on the outset, some people, if you're a Demon Hunter main, I think you might be wondering if there's been a lot of change in Dragonflight, because sometimes we talk about Demon Hunter and people talk about it as like a meme spec in the sense that it only has like two buttons, or one button, you literally press I-beam, and there's some builds that certainly support that. But if you've actually played Demon Hunter enough and you've messed around with things like momentum, then you know that that's not true. It's a very actually complicated, playstyle to go with. You got to time your vengeful retreats correctly and your fell rushes and get back in there and be doing get that extra damage bonus staying like permanently up on your character. That can be difficult to accomplish. So a big thing to ask a question at the outset for Havoc is there a lot of change? Are we getting new abilities, new playstyles? And the TLDR is to basically say, no, there isn't like a gigantic new ability or playstyle coming in. However, they have really brought up a lot of support for existing playstyles. There is absolutely going to be like an I-beam build. There's going to be a momentum-based build. And both of those builds are going to be heavily supported by Immolation Aura and Throw Glaive, actually. So it's really important to understand that part of this. You're basically going to have an I-beam build and a momentum build. They will be propped up by Immolation Aura and Throw Glaive. And those are kind of like sprinkled in to the middle of it. So it does add some diversity, but also a little bit of complication to the Havoc playstyle. And I think that's actually kind of good. I know that those, like Immolation Aura is used and Throw Glaive is used right now, but they're kind of doubling down on it in here, and they're giving you ways to really index heavily into Throw Glaive, for example. So like Fell Bombardment's back, but also Soul Rend is a new ability that's back. We'll talk about all this in a minute. On top of that, the structure of the tree is actually quite sound. It's actually very, very good. There's no 3-point talents whatsoever, and getting from like one side of the tree to the other is quite easy, and you're going to be dipping into the middle. I also want to just stop for a second and say, I love the way that the tree looks, like physically. I think it looks like Demon Hunter wings kind of going on like this, and I think that they intentionally did it like that, and I think that's pretty badass, actually, that it kind of looks like Demon Hunter wings. Like, you got the wings coming down like this and the wings coming down like this. That's pretty cool. I got to respect that. Now, the only other overarching newish thing that's coming in is sort of a big emphasis on critical strikes. So there's initiative here, which gives your damaging an enemy before the damage you gives you 15% crit. Blade Dance causes Chaos Strike to have increased crit. And then there's this big one. Your attacks have increased critical strike damage bonus equal to your critical strike chance. So also the last one here would be that I-beam always deals critical strikes. There's some really interesting crit synergy going on here that did not exist before. And that might be the newest change that's come in for Demon Hunter. So just keep that in mind. So that's kind of the outset. That's an overview. Also, the tree, let me just say really quickly, it's structured basically like this. You have Blade Dance and, again, all the crit synergies over here, things like Essence Break, and it all leads down to momentum. So you have kind of the momentum crit side of the tree here. Tactical retreats here, momentum's at the bottom. In the middle, you've got your big buffs, like your big spells and buffs like I-beam buffs, and then your big meta buffs down here. Duration of your active demon form is extended based on your fury spent, so that's kind of standard nowadays for all these trees to have the big buffs in the middle of the tree. On the right-hand side, we're looking at Immolation Aura and Throw Glaive tech. Those are really what's going on over there. Okay? Now, let me just pause for 1 second and show you what talents you're getting that you didn't have access to before. This might be the craziest amount of talents that I've ever seen on a tree from going from Shadowlands into the new expansion. So what do I mean by that? I mean that, like, in Shadowlands right now, you have to pick Blind Fury or Demonic Appetite or Fellblade. In the new expansion, you are getting all three of those. Literally all three. So, for example, Blind Fury is here. Demonic Appetite is over here. And what was the third one there? Fell Blade is also over here. So, I'm going to try to find a way to shrink this a little bit. Boop, boop, boop. Get smaller. There we go. Okay. So, what I'm going to show you is that 20 out of the 21 possible choices on the old talent trees are in the Dragonflight talent trees. So in Shadowlands, you have to pick 7 talents. That's all you get, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah. You only get 7 talents. In Dragonflight, 20 out of these 21 choices that are here, you can pick. 20 out of 21. You're going from 7 talents to potentially picking 20. If that's not a buff in and of itself, I mean, it is a buff. That is a buff in and of itself. And we need to always remember this, guys. Being able to pick multiple talents from the same row is a buff. Just straight up. Going from Shadowlands into Dragonflight, you're already getting a buff. Regardless of whether or not there's anything new in this tree, you are getting a buff. You can pick Blind Fury, Demonic Appetite, and Fellblade. You can get Insatiable Hunger, which is over here. Or you can get Demon Blades, which is the other side of Insatiable Hunger. And you can get Burning Hatred, which is up here. Right up here. You can get Trail of Ruin. You can get Unbound Chaos down here. And you can get Glaive Tempest down here. You can get Soul Rending, which is the Leech. You can get Desperate Instincts, which is down here. You can get Netherwalk, which is in the spec tree. Flip back over. You can get Cycle of Hatred down here. You can get First Blood up here, which is different. It's actually changed now a little bit, but I'll talk about that in a minute. You can get Essence Break right here. You can get Unleashed Power, which is actually over on this side again. It's the other side of Chaos Fragments. I just don't want to click it because it's going to get rid of my Icy Veins tab. You can get Unleashed Power. You can get Master of the Glaive is essentially up here. You get an additional charge of Throw Glaive. Master of the Glaive also said it snares enemies. You can go get the snare down here. Debilitating cuts, okay? Unleashed Power, Master of the Glaive, and Fell Eruption is over on the spec side. You can get Demonic, which is over here, of course. You can get Momentum, which I talked about being over here. And you can get Fell Barrage. Oh, sorry. Get off of there. You can get Momentum, and you can get Fell Barrage, which is the other side of Glaive Tempest. Okay? It is extremely, extremely powerful to have access to nearly all of these talents at the same time. Remember back in Legion when we got double legendaries and the extra effect that you got was that you get to pick an additional talent from one of these talent rows, and you were like, oh my god, we have 2 talents in the same row. This is game breaking. Well, now you're going to get literally 20 out of 21 of these talents. So it's very, very good, guys, and it's very important to always remember that that change in and of itself is very powerful and very impactful, the amount of talents that you can get. Okay, let's move forward. So, structure of the tree solid, the left side, the middle, I talked about all that, talents you can get together. Let's get to builds. Here's how I want to talk about this. So, there's a lot of stuff going on in these trees, and I think it's actually just important for Demon Hunter to talk about, are the builds that exist right now in Demon Hunter, are those passing through into Dragonflight? And the answer is yes. So let's talk about the Momentum build. If you don't know what that is, it basically means that you're going to combo Vengeful Retreat with Fell Rush, and you're going to kind of be bouncing back and forth on an enemy. So you can dash him with Fell Rush, and it will give you a damage buff from Momentum right here. So this, you get 12% more damage. Now, they have massively buffed Momentum. On the Shadowlands game, Momentum is here, and it says Fell Rush increases damage by 15%. Vengeful Retreat gives you Fury back. Now, we have Vengeful Retreat up here giving you the Fury over 10 seconds, and Momentum triggers off of Fell Rush, Glide, the Hunt, and Vengeful Retreat. They all give you a damage bonus. The real skill check on Momentum in Shadowlands was your ability to Fell Rush at the appropriate moment to keep the Momentum damage bonus up all the time. You were trying to keep the Momentum damage bonus up all the time. That was the difficult part of the build. That is not going to be difficult anymore. You can literally jump in the air and glide and like press Blade Dance at the same time so you don't lose any DPS uptime, and you will get your Momentum buff. So this is much, much better now, much more user-friendly you're going to be able to keep momentum up all the time. Yes, you lose 3% on the damage bonus. It's not 15%, it's 12. But they're doing that because Blizzard's basically saying you're going to be able to keep this up 24/7. Between the hunt, between fell rushing, between vengeful retreating, you're going to be able to keep it up all the time. So the duration of the momentum buff, it goes down a little bit here because momentum buff here, oh no, it was the same, 6 seconds. I thought it was longer. So there you go. It's just a straight buff, guys. It's just a straight up buff. But what else is supporting the momentum build? Well, you have Vengeful Retreat, of course, giving you 80 Fury over 10 seconds. You have Hot Feet over here, which gives Fell Rush an additional charge. And Improved Fell Rush gives Fell Rush 25% more damage. Okay, very, very good. Initiative, which increases your crit chance by 15%. And then using Vengeful Retreat will refresh your potential to trigger this effect on any enemies you're in combat with. So you start combat and you get 15% crit, and then you use Vengeful Retreat and you refresh all those enemies and their ability to give you 15% crit again. Isn't that cool? Like, that's really, really cool. Okay, so that basically you're getting a permanent 15% crit chance buff if you can do this correctly. This is sort of the new skill check for the momentum build. Okay. Unbound Chaos over here, which activate Immolation Aura. It increases the damage of your next Fell Rush. That's part of your build. You're using Fell Rush a lot. Isolated Prey over here, which is a new ability. Chaos Nova, I-Beam, and Fell Rush gain a bonus when striking one target. So this has been a big sore point for Havoc Demon Hunter. Single target damage hasn't always been the greatest. It's kind of like a Windwalker Monk problem. So this buffs your single target damage substantially. Fell Rush is going to give you 35 to 45 Fury. I-Beam does more damage. This is not the I-Beam build. This is the momentum build. So just for the momentum build, Fell Rush is now going to generate 35 to 45 Fury, which is insane. Really, really good. Lots of Fury. Okay. On top of that, we've got Improved Fell Rush I talked about. Restless Hunter. So that's down here. There it is. Sorry. Leaving Demon Form grants a charge of Fell Rush and increases the damage of your next Blade Dance by 50%. So, again, more Fell Rush synergy. You're getting extra damage and you're getting extra charges back. What's really cool about this is that if you take Demonic, look at the wording on this. Leaving Demon Form. Any one of your demon forms, not just Metamorphosis. If this had said leaving Metamorphosis, it might have been a little bit bad, but it says any demon form, which includes your demonic procs. So you can press I-Beam, go into meta. Once you're done meta, you'll get a Fell Rush charge back. So you do like Fell Rush and your a Vengeful Retreat into Fell Rush, get your damage bonus going, do a bunch of damage, then pop I-Beam, and then get your Fell Rush back. And then you see there's a cycle there, right? Getting Fell Rush back over and over again. Okay? Very, very cool. And then there's the new momentum, like I talked about, being Giga buff. So there are like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's about 7 talents that are all here to support the momentum playstyle. And before, you literally just had momentum. So now you've got a lot more stuff that's adding up. Again, remember, you're getting momentum and demonic now, which is super cool. So there's a really good momentum build here that's going to work, I think, very well for anybody who loved that playstyle. And the new skill check on the momentum buff is not going to be maintaining momentum. That's going to be easy to do now. So you're going to have 12% more damage all the time. The skill check is going to be, can you maintain this crit bonus that you're getting now? So you might have to tab target to start damaging a new enemy. This is mostly like a Mythic Plus thing is what I'm thinking about, right? But it's cool that Vengeful Retreat will now give you the 15% crit trigger once again. I really love that. That's really, really good synergy there. Okay, so that's for Vengeful Retreat. What about I-Beam? Is there going to be kind of an I-Beam-centric build? Because a lot of Demon Hunters, you can do a build basically that just makes you I-Beam and then I-Beam again and then I-Beam again. That has to do with the Shadowlands legendaries for the most part, right? So those Shadowlands legendaries are not coming back in the exact same way for Dragonflight in terms of the I-Beam triggering an I-Beam, potentially having a chance to reset the cooldown on I-Beam so you can get another I-Beam, right? The legendary that I'm talking about mostly is the Dark Glare Medallion, where I-Beam has a 40% chance to not incur its cooldown and refund 30 Fury. That is not coming back as of right now for Havoc. So important to understand that. Now, what are we getting for I-Beam, though? The base ability is here. It's unchanged, okay? You're also getting Furious Gaze, okay? Which is 10% sorry, when I-beam finishes fully channeling, haste goes up by an additional 10%, okay, which is really, really cool. It doesn't have any baseline. Yeah, okay. Underneath that, there's looks can kill, which means I-beam is guaranteed to crit, which is very, very good. This means you, like, don't have to spec into crit at all. If you're doing an I-beam build, you could do, like, a haste build instead and potentially try to just work around that and have the guaranteed crit from this talent right here. It means you don't have to index into crit in the same way that you might want to for the other builds, okay? On top of that, we have Blind Fury, course, which is over here. I-beam generates 40 fury every second, and its duration is increased by 50%. So it goes from a 2-second channel to a 3-second channel, of course. Okay. Then we have Serrated Glaive, which this is some synergy with Throw Glaive. So once again, remember I was telling you earlier, you've got the main two builds of like I-beam and Momentum, and they're supported, they're propped up by Throw Glaive and Immolation Aura. So this is some Throw Glaive synergy here for I-beam, and there's more of it down in the bottom of the tree. So enemies hit by Throw Glaive take 20% more damage from I-beam. That is a lot. That's a lot of damage. So you basically would need to make sure that before you press I-beam, you're pressing Throw Glaive every single time. And that's going to be, there's going to be a good reason to do that in a minute. Okay? Isolated Prey, once again, down here. This is the 30% damage bonus to I-beam if you're on one target. So on single target damage, you could do Throw Glaive, press I-beam. I-beam's doing 50% more damage to one single target. So like in Mythic Plus, this is really, really cool because it means that your AoE damage is going to be fine because you're going to be pressing Throw Glaive, and then you're going to be I-beaming an entire pack, and then you're going to do tons of damage to that whole pack. When it comes to the boss fights, you're going to be doing even more damage. You get to do 50% more damage on a boss if you press Throw Glaive before you press I-beam, and there's only one target. So that's like really, really cool. And I think that's great synergy. Good single target buff damage for Havoc, which is something that I think they kind of needed. The last one is going to be Cycle of Hatred down here. Not the last one, but we're going to talk about the other ones in a second. Chaos Strike also reduces the cooldown on I-beam by 1 second if you take 2 points in it. Let me do that really quickly. 1 second and an additional 1 second when it refunds Fury. So we have Cycle of Hatred right now. It says when Chaos Strike refunds Fury, it also reduces the cooldown of I-beam by 3 seconds. So I think that this is a buffed version of that, because what it means is your Chaos Strike will always reduce the cooldown of I-beam by 1 second, and then it'll give it an additional second when it refunds Fury. So you're not so reliant on the RNG proc of refunding Fury. You're not entirely reliant on that anymore. You're going to get cooldown reduction on I-beam guaranteed, and then you'll also get a little bonus if it does refund Fury. I think this is a better version of Cycle of Hatred. It might not be like a straight-up buff, but it's just a better version of the way that they want that talent to work. Okay? On top of that, we have some really, really cool Throw Glaive tech. So Immolation Aura damages a chance to give you Stack of Fell Bombardment, increasing the damage of your next Throw Glaive by 50%, and launching an additional glaive at a nearby target. This exists right now in Shadowlands. This is a legendary in Shadowlands. You can get up to 5 additional targets on your Throw Glaive, I believe. I tried to watch some videos on this, and I think that that's how it works. So somebody tell me in the comments if I'm wrong about this. Does the actual amount of targets go up with the stacks, or is it just the damage of Throw Glaive that goes up with the stacks? If the amount of targets that you acquire with Throw Glaive goes up with Fell Bombardment, that is amazing, because it means you're getting 5 additional targets, and on top of that, you're already getting an additional target here. So Throw Glaive, I think, ricochets to 1 target baseline, and then if you get Bouncing Glaives, it's going to have 2 targets that it's ricocheting to. So you throw it to 1 target, and it ricochets to 2 targets. If you get Fell Bombardment, it's going to ricochet to 5 more for a potential of 7 ricochets. I'm not sure if that's entirely true. Please let me know if you Demon Hunter mains out there. Let me know if that's exactly how that might work. Bottom line is, if this lets you hit 7 targets with Throw Glaive, then it means that all those targets are taking 20% more damage from I-beam, right? So this is really good implications in a Mythic Plus pack. Also, there's Soul Rend. Throw Glaive causes each target struck to take 60% of the damage as chaos over 6. So you're going to have literally like a Throw Glaive plus I-beam kind of synergy here going on. But what you could do is, like, you go into a pack of 7 mobs, you press Throw Glaive with your Fell Bombardment. Let's say your Fell Bombardment was already stacked up from the previous pack. You press Throw Glaive, and then you press I-beam, it's doing 20% more damage to all those enemies. That's just some really cool kind of synergy there for I-beam, in my opinion. Okay? And then those are the I-beam synergistic talents there. So there's about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's about 7, again, 7 talents, same as momentum, that are buffing I-beam and making it work in a better way for you. There's cooldown reduction on I-beam. There's fury generation on I-beam. There's extra channel time, more damage, you name it. There's single target damage for I-beam, which is very, very cool with the isolated prey, all that kind of stuff. So that is really cool. Those are the two, like, I want to say, like, the two main builds that you're going to do. Now, I really want to talk about what is supporting those builds. What is making those builds actually do more damage? And let's talk about the Immolation Aura. Immolation Aura gets 5% more crit over here. Immolation Aura generates 30 Fury. This is the talent that we already have, of course, over 6 seconds. So that's giving you, obviously, more Fury generation is always good. It lets you do more damage. The duration of Immolation Aura goes up by 2 seconds. It does 15% more damage, which is a conduit right now. It does 15% more damage each time it deals damage. And then Fell Bombardment is where we start getting into the synergy here, right, with the Throw Glaive. So obviously we just talked about that. And then there's a new one called Rage Fire. Each time Immolation Aura deals critical damage, 50% of the damage dealt is gathered as Rage Fire. When Immolation Aura expires, you explode, dealing all stored Rage Fire damage to nearby enemies. This is a new idea, and a really cool one at that. This is one of the new ideas for Demon Hunter. So you can basically have this supplemental damage source of Immolation Aura. It's not your main damage source, but it's something that you're always going to have on, and it's always going to be ticking away. Each time it's ticking, it's doing additional damage. Every time it ticks, it's generating Fury for you, okay? It lasts longer, and then it's going to be critting. It's going to have 5% higher crit chance, and if you're doing like a crit-based build, let's say you take Initiative, you have 15% more crit, plus 5, so it's got 20% more crit for 5 seconds. So it's critting, it's critting, it's critting, and then it stores up that damage into Rage Fire, and then you explode. So it's kind of like you're getting a bunch of extra passive damage here while you're focused on pressing Chaos Strike and Blade Dance and I-Beam. You're getting this passive Immolation Aura tech that's going on in the background, and not only is it just doing damage on its own, but it also does have some synergies with the Fell Bombardment tech here, and with the Fell Rush for your momentum build as well. So if you're doing a momentum build, you get this passive extra Immolation Aura damage going off, but it's also buffing your Fell Rush every time you activate Immolation Aura, right? On the other side, on the I-Beam build, maybe you're doing a Throw Glaive component, and you're getting the big bonus to your I-Beam that's going on. So you see what I'm saying there? That, like, it's passive damage that's going off in the background, but it's buffing up the damage of the main thing that you're trying to do, okay? Which is really, really cool. Now, what about Throw Glaive? Well, Throw Glaive gets 2 charges, of course, as we saw over here. It's going to hit an additional enemy, I think 3 enemies in total, right, from bouncing glaives. Then the Fell Bombardment brings it up to an additional 5 enemies on top of that, and then you also have Rage Fire, which, wait, why is Rage Fire? Oh, I'm looking at the wrong thing now. You have Fell Bombardment here, of course, and then you have Soul Rend. Let me take Soul Rend here and show you what that's all about. So Soul Rend is really, really cool. Throw Glaive causes targets to take an additional 120% of the damage dealt as chaos damage over 6 seconds. So Throw Glaive doesn't do like a monstrous amount of damage, but when you combine it with Fell Bombardment, it does. It does right now. Like, that would be kind of crazy. So let's say you get 250% more damage. My Throw Glaive right now is dealing about 802 damage. I don't have a very good eye level on my Demon Hunter, okay? My item level is literally 235. Let's just pretend like Throw Glaive did like 1,200 damage, okay? Let's just say that. Okay. There it is. Let's say Throw Glaive did about 1,200 damage, okay? With Fell Bombardment, we have to multiply that by 250% times 250%, okay? So it goes to 3K. Now, I've just hit 7 targets, okay? So it did 3K to 7 targets. So now it's done 21,000 damage. All of those targets now take 120% of the damage that we dealt over 6 seconds. So keep 21,000 in your head. Okay, 21,000. 3K times 120%. It's 3,600 damage. So now that's 3,600 damage times 7, because they're each going to take it. So we had 30,000 plus 25,000. Now it just did 55,000 damage. One Throw Glaive with a Fell Bombardment stack on it, okay, just did 55,000 damage. And now it's also buffing our I-beam damage, ready to go. See what I'm saying there? See what's happening there? That's the passive extra damage. And I'm just like guessing on the numbers there, but you see, like that's what's going on. Immolation Aura has this passive ticking damage that's turning into an Inferno in the background in Ragefire, all the while you're pressing Blade Dance and Chaos Strike, and you're getting your damage in. In the background as well, you're building up stacks of Fell Bombardment, and then you're just gonna let it rip with Throw Glaive, and it's gonna do 30,000 damage and then another 25,000 damage with Soul Rend over 6 seconds if you're hitting those 7 targets, if this functions the way that I think it does. Even if this only lets you hit 3 targets total, it's still going to be a lot of damage. It's still going to end up being like maybe 10 or 12,000 damage and then another 10,000 damage over 6 seconds, which is just, again, it's like passive buff damage. It's not part of your main rotation, but you're just doing it to buff your other spells, and it's passively there in the background, which is very, very cool. That is really cool, and I think that that makes Demon Hunter a little bit more exciting to play. This is one of the big questions, right? Are we just going to be a one-button build? No, I don't think you are. I think you're going to be doing your regular rotation and have these extra passive sources of damage going off in the background, all the while buffing up the damage of your main abilities that you're doing, depending on whether you're doing Momentum or an I-Beam type build. Okay, that's what's really, really cool about all this, and I'm very excited about Demon Hunter. Let me talk at the end here just about some new ideas that are here in this talent tree. So once again, I-Beam getting crits from Looks Can Kill, very, very cool. Okay, there is some Chaos Strike buffs here as well, which is really cool. First Blood has been changed, so First Blood on live reduces the Fury cost of Blade Dance by 20, and it does additional damage to the first target struck. Now it says Blade Dance deals 3 times something additional chaos damage to the first target struck, and it doesn't have any Fury cost reduction. So I think that's because you're getting other forms of AoE damage in this tree. For example, sorry guys, that was my Twitch chat thing. For example, you're getting extra forms of AoE damage in the tree. First of all, you're getting Trail of Ruin, which is really good. Essence Break is here. Essence Break is a talent, obviously, that you would have been fighting other talents for. First Blood and Essence Break fought directly with each other. Now you can get First Blood and Essence Break. So, like, I think Blizzard's just taking a nod here to saying, listen, we're going to take a little bit of the power out of First Blood because you're getting Essence Break if you want it. Excuse me. You can slash all enemies in front of you, dealing damage, increasing damage they take from Chaos Strike and Blade Dance. So this is really, really good. There's other Blade Dance. Like, you get the cooldown of Blade Dance back right here. Leaving Demon Form increases the damage. Oh, sorry, it doesn't give you a stack. It increases the damage of your next Blade Dance, which is really, really good. But you're getting Essence Break as an AoE button. You have Blade Dance as an AoE button, but it's not giving you Fury. It doesn't have a Fury cost reduction, but that's okay. You're also getting Throw Glaive as an AoE option as well, with the Immolation Aura AoE as well. So there's lots of AoE stuff going on. You're not going to be relying just on Blade Dance. You literally are going to have I-Beam, Blade Dance, Essence Break, Immolation Aura with Ragefire, and Fell Bombardment with your Throw Glaive. 2, 3, 4, 5. There's like there's 5 different ways to do like consistent AoE damage, guys. So you're not really going to be missing the fact that First Blood doesn't give you have a Fury cost reduction, okay? So it's fine. Blade Dance reduces target's healing. That's just for PvP. I-Beam crits. Let's go to the crits really quick. Initiative. Again, you're getting a base critical strike chance if you can do the Vengeful Retreat stuff going on here. What's also kind of cool, actually, about Vengeful Retreat is that you can take this even if you're not doing a momentum style build, which maybe that's annoying to some Demon Hunters. Like, I hope this doesn't feel like it's mandatory, but it does give you 80 Fury over 10 seconds, which is a lot of passive Fury just over time. So you could literally just start the fight by Vengeful Retreating backwards into the mobs. So you're not losing any DPS uptime. Do you see what I'm saying? You could just like literally start the fight by Vengeful Retreating and then like fell rushing in. Like, I mean, I know people do that anyway. Like, that's what a lot of Demon Hunter, but there's a way to do this so you don't lose like DPS uptime, but you literally just get a free button that gives you 80 Fury now, which before in Shadowlands, this was an entire playstyle that you had to opt into. Now you can get Demonic for free on the other side of the tree. You can get it over here and still get the 80 Fury from Vengeful Retreat. So that's very, very powerful in my opinion. Again, this is the power of being able to take multiple talents that were in the same row. Okay, we're getting the crit from Initiative. Blade Dance causes your next Chaos Strike to have increased critical strike chance, so that's interesting. Mostly a single target buff there. Chaos Strike has an 8% chance to trigger a second Chaos Strike. I don't think that's actually very good, but over time, over the course of a long encounter, that will add up to extra damage, which is really good. And of course, it's free, which is nice. So it usually would cost Fury, but it doesn't cost anything if it goes off for free. Isolated Prey, I've talked about a little bit. This is the cool new passive that's in here. This is buffing your single target damage, and it does also buff Chaos Nova stun duration, which is really good. But mostly, you're talking about Eye-Beam damage and Fell Rush giving you Fury. So it does mean that on single target encounters, you're going to see Demon Hunters wanting to use Fell Rush just to get the extra Fury generation. You're also going to want to be using Vengeful Retreat to get the extra Fury generation, which is fine. I think that's just kind of like, it's fun to just be bouncing around. Even if you're not doing the momentum playstyle, it doesn't really make you lose a lot of damage, because if you do it properly, you won't be losing any damage. So that's very cool. Essence Break is here, as I said earlier. It's a very powerful AoE tool. It strikes all enemies in front of you, which is uncapped AoE. More uncapped AoE is, of course, Rage Fire. It does all the stored damage to all nearby enemies, which is very, very good. Yeah, there's some good uncapped options here, which is super great. I think Eye-Beam is uncapped, right? It does reduce damage beyond 5 targets, but it's essentially uncapped. Okay. Essence Break is there. Know your enemy. Attacks have increased critical strike damage plus equal to the critical strike chance. So we're going to have to see how this kind of works out, if there's a real crit build that kind of works for Demon Hunter, because that's actually interesting. Getting critical strike damage bonus equal to your critical strike chance is kind of wild. Like if you get maybe 40% crit, then all your crits are doing 240% damage instead of 200. So you're kind of like an Ellie Shaman at that point, right? This is a very big, I think this is a bonus on Cycle of Hatred. I like how this is designed now. The stuff in the middle, guys, I didn't talk about too much, but this is really, really cool. Leaving Demon Form and entering Demon Form, right? It's good to see how these things are worded. So leaving Demon Form, which scales with Demonic as well, and then entering Demon Form causes your next Chaos Strike to unleash your inner demon, causing you to crash to your target, hitting all nearby enemies. Again, more uncapped AoE. We've got Essence Break. You have Inner Demon. You've got Rage Fire. Eye-Beam is basically there, right? Lots and lots of AoE damage. So, but this says you can trigger this twice, right? You can press meta, and you get this. Or what you'd want to do is press Eye-Beam, and then your next Chaos Strike will hit all nearby enemies, which is super, super cool, by the way. Then you can press your real meta, and you can do it again. Same with this. Restless Hunter, when you leave your Eye-Beam meta that you're getting from Demonic, you get a Fell Rush, and then when you press your real meta, when that's over, you're going to get another Fell Rush as well. So good synergies there. You get 20% more haste during meta. That's pretty good. We do have Fodder to the Flame and Elysian Decree here, which is good. I think that this is basically just damage for I like Fodder to the Flame a lot. I think Elysian Decree is just sort of more damage, but Fodder to the Flame I actually love, and it has more synergy with Throw Glaive once again. Throw Glaive does do lethal damage to this guy, and he explodes, dealing damage to my enemies, healing you for 25% of your maximum health. The explosion deals reduced damage beyond 5 targets. The real like cool part about this build was the legendary effect, where it added Vengeance. For Vengeance Demon Hunter, it added the Fiery Brand to all those enemies, which was very, very cool, and it doesn't do that anymore. So this might not be as good anymore, but just as a free proc, like for 1 talent point, it might be really worth taking. We'll have to see. Okay. Finally, we have Shattered Destiny and Any Means Necessary. I'm going to talk about these for a second. So Shattered Destiny, the duration of your active demon form is extended by 0.1 seconds per 5 Fury spent. Again, we're talking about Demonic, being able to get into demon form. Like every time you have Eye-Beam up, you're going to reducing the cooldown of Eye-Beam with Chaos Strike. So there's some really good synergy there. And then, of course, your regular meta is, of course, this is going to be there too. So I don't know. The numbers on this seem really weak to me, but I don't know. Genuinely, I'm not sure how good of an extension this is. If you Demon Hunter mains have any idea about this, let me know. 'Cause I'm not really sure how good this could possibly be. It might be good. It might not be good, but it looks like it could be really good. Extending meta for Havoc is very strong. Let me just say that. Because it turns Blade Dance into Annihilation, it makes you do like so much more damage, right? Chaos Strike gets more damage. So that is a very good thing to have. To have meta up longer is always good for Havoc. It doesn't matter as much for Vengeance in terms of the duration of meta. It's very good. It gives them survivability. But for Havoc in particular, it is very, very good. So lastly, finally, let's talk about any means necessary. Your Mastery Demonic Presence now also causes your single target school magic damage to be dealt as chaos damage instead. So from what I can see here, I think that this mostly applies to Fellblade. Okay, let's move this over here. I think this applies mostly to Fellblade, and then it also is going to apply to Immolation Aura because they do fire damage. The Hunt also does nature damage according to the Dragonflight talent tree right now, but it does, I think it does fire damage, right? Whatever, I'm not going to go. I think it does fire damage. So the point is, all of these things that do one school of magic. So this basically says single school magic. It's dealt as chaos damage instead. So that means your Immolation Aura now does chaos damage instead of fire damage. Fellblade now does chaos damage instead of fire damage. Throw Glaive is physical. I believe that's it, right? Your Hunt, the Hunt damage, of course, is physical. Sorry, the Hunt damage is like nature or fire. Doesn't matter. It's only one magic school. It's going to get turned into chaos damage, I think. And that will be insane because the Hunt does a lot of damage. The Hunt does a crazy amount of damage, guys. This thing hits so hard. You all know how hard it hits. So I think this is going to turn into chaos damage. I think that Fellblade is going to turn into chaos damage. And I think that Immolation Aura is going to turn into chaos damage, which is a lot of damage because your mastery, this is sort of like indexing into a heavy mastery build, which is really, really cool. And I think, again, this gives you a reason to scale mastery for Havoc, which has maybe not always been a good thing to scale. On top of that, you're also getting Sigil of Flame. If you want, well, you are getting it as a Havoc Demon Hunter. I don't know if you're going to want to press this button, but you can turn it from fire damage into chaos damage, which is going to be, again, it's just going to do more damage, and it's more AoE damage. So that's very strong. So I think that this is actually a really, really cool talent, and we'll have to just remains to be seen how well it synergizes with stuff like the Hunt, yada, yada, how much, what kind of damage is that doing. But I do think that this is very powerful. Turning all of your damage into chaos damage means you're just doing way more damage. Just way, way more damage. Also, I think chaos damage bypasses armor, if I'm not mistaken. So you're going to turn all that damage into, like, damage that's bypassing armor. Somebody correct me on that if I'm wrong. I do think that that's true, though. But that's it for the Demon Hunter tree, guys. There's a lot going on here that I think is actually quite strong. A good I-Beam build. There's a good momentum-based build with Vengeful Retreat. You could take Vengeful Retreat and like things like Fell Rush buffs to get your Fury back with Isolated Prey. Sorry, Fell Rush and Vengeful Retreat giving you Fury back. Even if you're not running a momentum-based playstyle, you can still do that. There's lots of synergies between Throw Glaive and Immolation Aura, which are bringing a bunch of different damage to you, which is awesome. I do think that there's just so much synergy here. I think you have your two main builds that are still very much intact, but they're not going to be boring anymore. And I don't actually think they were necessarily super boring before, but you are going to have lots to do. While you're busy pressing Chaos Strike and Blade Dance and I-Beam, your Immolation Aura is going to be ticking in the background, causing a huge explosion with Rage Fire later. You're also going to be getting stacks of Fell Bombardment, which preps your next Throw Glaive. And when you chuck that Throw Glaive, it's going to do crazy amounts of damage to the 7 targets that you're potentially hitting. And on top of that, you're going to be buffing your I-Beam damage right afterwards. So lots and lots of synergy going on here. I like it a lot. I think it's a really good tree. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Any of you Demon Hunter mains, get in here. Let me know what you think about Havoc and what you think about the tree. And anything that I've said here that might be totally incorrect, please let me know in those comments down below as well. Thank you so much for watching. Drop a like and subscribe if you haven't already. I would really appreciate it, guys. We're continuing to push on the YouTube front. I have a full 24-hour stream coming up on August 29th. I think that's in 3 days. 9, 10. That's in 4 days. 4 days. I'm doing a 24-hour stream live on Twitch, twitch.tv/ZukoVibes. Go check it out. Be there. Tell your grandma to be there. It's going to be fun. Okay? I love you guys. I'll see you in the next one.